Hi, Mark here from the Tangent-Bound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangent-Bound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangent-Bound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangentBoundNetwork.com and see if Tangent-Bound Network is right for you.
Sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. A light sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time. Stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
We're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals of any kind, so if you feel you do need help, please reach out and get the help you need. We have a whole list of things on our files page over on Facebook at facebook.com/crazylifepodcast, and or just search on the internet for the suicide prevention hotline number, or go to NAMI.org, or whatever resource you can find. But just please reach out for help if you need it. If you feel as though you're going to harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. And try not to be alone. Also, if you feel that way and you realize that you're writing a note or making plans of how you would do, like harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. That's a huge red flag. And lastly, please do not replace the idea of therapy with listening to this show. Again, if you need help, please reach out and get the help that you need, or contact us. We can try to help you find the help that you need.
Welcome to the Crazy Life, everyone. My name's Jen. I am your hostess for the evening, and with me, as always, is Brian and Henno. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
So, Mr. Henno,
dang it!
Since
you could have
finished with us.
You could have finished that to do the hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah.
So, Henno, since you weren't with us last week,
No,
right?
he was, but he owed us 2 weeks, so it's still his turn.
Yes, right.
Okay.
True.
I apologize. My brain is not, my memory is not keeping up with my life.
You're getting old, Jen.
I am. Shoot. I just turned 40. Good
Yep.
God.
Ugh.
I'm old.
So old.
So old.
Right.
All right, Henno, do you mind starting us out?
Yeah, no problem. I had fun this weekend. I got voluntold to help with one of Sharon's events she was doing, which was the road rally for the drug coalition. And so Friday night was just like a town cruise, and so I had like 70 cars plus all the supercars that were racing on Saturday showed up, and my job was to help at one of the entrances. And so I got there really early, and there was supposed to be some women that were showing up a little bit later that weren't assigned. And so my job was to go there, find them, and then kind of assign them with what to do. And there was this one person who came up, and they were taking their volunteer T-shirts and cutting them up into like sexy T-shirts.
Oh my!
You explained to them that only you're allowed to wear them like that.
Yeah. And so this quote unquote girl shows up, and she's turned hers into a sleeveless half top, kind of slung down and shorts, and she was just very, very perky and athletic, and just a lot of energy, and so we're sitting there doing our little job thing, and finally, we're just having conversations. And she turns out to be the new shrink at our hospital.
Oh my!
So she's the psychiatrist.
Nice, I like it.
Wow! All right.
Which was awesome. So we had great conversation, had a lot in common. She made it so much fun to be sitting at this, because behind us, like, music and food and everything's going on, and we're just at our post, monitoring traffic and cars coming in and out, and, it turns out she teleskis too and some other things, and so we just had a really fun time, but it was just so funny because all the women were part of the mental health division of St. Luke's Hospital, of our clinic.
Nice.
So there were therapists and admin assistants, and she was the psychiatrist. And so I actually looked up online afterwards and found her interviewed in our local kind of they're a video-based news organization, let's just say. They mostly do videos of stuff in town, and they have these screens all up in certain businesses that they play the videos over and over again. They're community-based stuff, and so she did an interview with her. Mm. And so all of a sudden I get to see her as this professional. It was quite a contrast, but it was really kind of fun.
Right.
And she was talking about some of the things that, I told her about our podcast, and we had a great, and then I drove. The next day was the actual road race, the road rally, and I had so many people there, which is great. This is a big fundraiser for the Drug Coalition, and a lot of people that I know from 12-step meetings were there volunteering, and then also what was really cool is this, the psych department. So I was doing a shuttle van, and I had another woman come ride with me to drop some things off, and she was one of our local therapists too. And so I was telling her about the podcast and, this and that. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to get Suzanne, or Susie as they call her, on here one time. It'd be really interesting.
So,
sounds like it. That'd be awesome.
Is it Susie outside of work and like Suzanne at work? Or is it one of those?
Her coworkers were calling her Susie. I was calling her Suzanne.
Right.
Right. But everyone else was calling her Susie. And she seems like the type of person that'd be okay with you Dr. Susie or whatever.
Yeah, as long as you're still respectful. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
She didn't go to medical school for 7 years to be called Mr.
Yeah, exactly. And so at the end of the night, she's like, because we were moving these cones back and forth, and she's like, I washed my hands, over at the fire hydrant there, and I just walked up and gave her a hug. And she's like, oh my. I'm like, hugs don't give germs.
Yeah, right? Sure they do.
Sure. But that was my weekend. It was actually, I had a really great time. Like I said, it was a great cause. And it is some long days, some, long hours put in, but,
the videos were
really
cool.
Kind of fun.
Seeing the,
yeah, weren't those cool?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen stuff like that on TV and stuff, but it's just, it's always cool to see, especially when you were talking about the speeds and stuff they were going. That's nuts. So,
yeah. So for everybody, what we do is it's $2,000 to run your car for 2 miles as fast as you can. And they had people they did 4 heats, and most of the cars were entered in at least 3. So these, people are shelling out $6,000.
Awesome.
And then they auctioned off a Raptor, fully loaded, like $70,000 Raptor truck. And I found out they had to buy that thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then, so there was like a couple hours left in the event, and they were about 50 tickets short of paying for it, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
Paying for the whole thing. There was $100 a ticket, and you had a pretty good chance of winning because it wasn't a lot of entries.
Right.
But and then of course they had T-shirts and this and that, and it was a great turnout, and it was just they've been doing this for 10 years now, and I'd never been to it, so it was neat to see how much interest there was in people coming in from out of town for it. And it was also interesting to see how many people are stupid and walk onto a full-on race course that has got road close signs everywhere. It's unbelievable. That's what we had to have so many volunteers, because you had to have somebody at every possible place somebody could just walk out.
Right.
Even when you're like yelling at them to it was. It just
what they should have done. Mind. They should have given the volunteers like long sticks.
Just whack them.
Just smack them. No. Yeah. One time in the shins, they'll remember it.
They'll remember it. Yeah. This one couple, they had their baby. Like, well, we're from Connecticut. I'm like, not an excuse. You're insane.
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure Connecticut doesn't just let people walk down the street. Yeah. Like on racetracks and stuff. I mean, I would hope no racetracks letting someone with babies walk down the middle of it.
You're coming to this event. You know how fast these cars are going.
Also, I would assume loud.
Only one of them was that loud.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good then.
Yeah, the rest of them are all, so every car is street legal.
Oh, okay.
The only car that wasn't was the Richard Petty stock car.
Okay.
That thing was unbelievably loud. So he doesn't even go down to do the Friday night cruise because he shakes the tables in the restaurants.
Oh, wow.
It was just, but the rest of them are all, even though they're high performance, like the Ford GT is a 650 horsepower twin turbo V6. And it had like a titanium exhaust system. Only 8 were made with that. And the guy was telling Sharon about how he had to like go through this application process and like background checks just to buy one.
Wow. Damn.
Because Ford knows they're going to sell every single one of them, because you got Jay Leno going, I want one. And,
right. Jerry Seinfeld wants one. Yeah.
Right? Rich people. So they're very picky and choosy who gets their cars. Which I found kind of interesting.
Huh.
Yeah.
I've always wondered how that works when there's only, like 8 or 10 of them made in the world. Because guys like Jay Leno and like Seinfeld are put way at the top of that list. They're 1 and 2 probably. Unless some billionaire comes in.
Yeah, and so if you're just some Joe Schmo, guy that did well in whatever business he's in, he's like he had to write all these reasons why he's worthy.
Right?
It was amazing.
Yeah. What you looking for a new job? No, I'm trying to get a really expensive car.
It's a car. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, hold on real quick. So, have you listened to the new Salty Language, Hanno?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So, I thought Tony had the weirdest application process of the week, but I think this one tops it. Tony was told to fill out like make a resume basically for his dog to help, like if they're, in properties and whatever. And this to me is, I mean, I assume there was some process. I just figured it was some like drawing or something, or first come first serve, whatever. I don't.
Yeah.
Or somebody brokers.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you're literally you're having to explain to somebody why you should be allowed to buy a car.
The best part is this is a car that's got a lot of power and whatnot to it. So you're explaining to them all the reasons you should be allowed to have this. And it's got to be funny because really, I mean, what's the number one reason you want it other than I have one, which is, you want to get in the thing and push the pedal down, You probably shouldn't say to do wheelies or to do, burnouts or whatever. They may frown on that. We're doing blowouts. You just do them right in the parking lot of the dealership, of wherever you pick it up from.
That was the funny thing about it, is like a bunch of these cars are, like there was a Lamborghini there, and the Lamborghini was very understated looking. It looks, because I'm in an affluent area, a resort community. I see a lot of fancy cars, and so I'm used to seeing, expensive cars that are, $70,000 to $100,000 vehicles.
Yeah.
All right, so the Lamborghini's what? $150,000 vehicle. It happens to be, a 200 mile an hour race car, yet it didn't look that special.
Yeah.
And the funny part about it is so everyone was, when they were when the cars were leaving, all these young dudes are out wanting them to, burn the tires off and everything. I'm like, 200 mile an hour car can't.
Yeah.
It's geared to go 200 miles an hour and not roast the rear wheels.
Yeah.
That's why, the start of the race was rather uninteresting because they start rather slow.
Right. Yeah.
All things considered, so that was kind of funny. But there were plenty of there were enough muscle cars there that just lit them up, and there were cops were coming by left and right. But everyone was having fun.
Yeah, they know there's no real trouble and stuff there.
Yeah.
That was the way we used to do car festivals and stuff when I was a kid. And that was my favorite part, was at night, all the hot rods would come out. They'd do basically, a parade down the street, and then they'd start doing burnout contests, and some of them would have stuff, fire kind of that would shoot out of the, the pipes or whatever.
The tailpipes.
Yeah, and it was cool, especially as a kid. You're like, yeah, more fire. So it was, that was my favorite part of doing those, was once it got late enough that it was like, okay, all the festival stuff is done. Now let's have some real fun, basically. And they just tear that place up, in the best way. Not literally tearing it up, but, doing all sorts of burnouts and stuff.
But now because I did my volunteer duty, I get to go to Eugene in 2 weekends.
Nice.
Yay.
Yeah. And I also, not playing video games, I've learned a bunch of songs, which has been really cool. It's amazing what happens when you don't just sit on the couch and be glued to an iPad.
Right? When you interact with the real world.
When you actually work on something. Yeah, there was this one thing I've been trying to, this Metallica song that I've been trying to be able to play without having to look at the music, and it's very difficult, and I finally was able to do it all the way through, and I was just like, this wouldn't have happened if I hadn't put this stupid game down. So,
no, you're right. You'd probably be sitting there looking over at the guitar.
Yeah, no, it would be. Yeah, seriously. So it was like good positive reinforcement, and that's that was my kind of my win for the week, was like, oh yeah, I can read my books again and and actually do stuff and feel useful. Mm-hmm. So that's been good. Everything else is the same, but go to the gym, blah blah blah, this and that. Work is good. It's been life's been really really great this last week. It's just 85 every day, which is fine.
That's perfect.
Just 85.
Yeah.
It's
too hot for me.
Awesome.
I'm by the afternoon. It's too much for me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'll put where it's at. 85 is where I get home from work, and I don't want to take my bike out and go for a bike ride.
Yeah.
80 I would.
Yeah.
Yep.
High 70s for sure I would, but 85 is just at that part after I've been working all day.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
Oh, and Bogart has to have a little surgery on Thursday. That was kind of a bummer. Well, kind of, I figured it. He had a bump on his leg that was red, and I'm just like that's gonna be bad.
Yeah.
But he'll get it removed, and it won't be. It's not like something that it's malignant, but only at that location, I guess.
Okay.
And then, and this was great. Kids versus dogs. Right? This discussion comes up on many podcasts. I wake up, I took the morning off, and Bogart hadn't been eating much, and I go to, and I make the food, Bogart shows up, but this time no Jax. I walk in, and there's Jax sitting there, not even moving. I'm like, dude, are you okay? Finally kind of gets up, tail is down, and he's licking the air. And it was like that, because dogs don't lick their lips.
Yeah.
And so it reminded me of someone that was nauseous. when your mouth is watering and you're nauseous. And so he just looked nauseous. I tried to give him some food. He had no interest in food. And I'm like, well, at least we're going to the vet today, because he had to get some blood work done.
Yeah.
So we get down there, and the vet looks at Jax, finds nothing wrong with him.
Of course.
We'll do the blood panel. In the meantime, get Bogart up there. He checks Bogart's tooth. There's really nothing wrong with that tooth either, but the arm thing was definitely a concern. And what was really neat is the vet allowed me to go back and see the slide through the microscope.
Oh, cool.
And see what he was looking at with the blood cells. And that was really cool because it was like very obvious. It's like, oh yeah, those are the bad, that's the bad.
Yeah,
that's
right.
bad.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I get back, blood panel comes back. Everything's back to normal now. His enzymes they're a high normal. I'm like, okay, that's great. Get in the car, and all of a sudden Jax is fine. Get home, tail wagging, eating, everything's great. I'm like, if I'd have just done the liver panel, it would have cost me $75, but thanks to you, it's $150.
Yep.
No explanation why that day, why he decided that morning that I feel nauseous.
Maybe he
knew
knew it was the vet day.
He knew.
He was trying
it was vet day.
Trying to get you to let him stay home from school,
Exactly.
He's over there with the thermometer, like holding it over the lamp,
It's still like if that's the worst I can get, it's I'll take the fuzzy, the four-legged fuzzy over the two-legged one that talks.
Absolutely.
Because I'm bummed. It's like I sit there and I go, God, sometimes I wish you could talk so you could tell me what was wrong. But then it would be like, because, but why, because, why, because, why. Like, okay, I'm glad you don't talk.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, next. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, a couple of things I just wanted to say real quick.
Yes.
Sorry. Mark Maron.
Love him.
There's on his podcast, it came out at the end of June. He's got a guy that wrote a book about Robin Williams. It happens to also be what there's kind of a documentary on HBO right now about Robin Williams. It's based off this book. He interviews the author, and then at the end, Mark plays his Robin Williams interview again.
Mm.
So if you haven't ever checked it out, it's there. Because after a while, Mark's podcasts go on behind a paywall.
Yeah.
So right now it's free. It's an opportunity. If you've never heard the interview with Robin Williams, it's there. It's fascinating because he talks about suicide.
Yeah. And I believe that's the one he went to his house, didn't he?
He went to Tiburon.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, it's one of the few where he's gone to somebody. Not where he's not like out of town doing shows or something, but he went specifically for Robin Williams. Yeah. Which I would too.
And the interview with,
if they were like, hey, you can get an interview, but you got to go to his house.
Man, yeah.
Yeah. And it was, and the documentary is really good too. I watched that recently. And then, the other thing is recently it was in the USA Today, I don't know, sometime this week. And the amount of calls that have gone, the suicide hotline and prevention calls and visits to clinics and things have gone through the roof.
Oh, thank goodness.
So even though
suffering, but thank God they're asking for help.
Exactly. So awareness is working, and yes, it's a bummer. The amount of suicides have gone up so much. However, the amount of people seeking help has also gone up, and that's great news. Yeah. It's bittersweet, let's call it.
It is, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That is really good that, people, that also means that there's probably better access to some health, like, in the states like Michigan here where they expanded Medicaid and stuff, so it's, because of that, people like me are able to get mental health care. And, that's really, that's why that's so important, to help people who can't afford to go to these things be able to go get this help because it's not cheap, nobody's giving this away, really.
Yeah. And it was contrasted with another story that I read in the New York Times about, it was a woman that was a reporter that was tracking, someone that had gone from, opioid addiction to heroin in Las Vegas, and the girl ended up dead.
Yeah.
Found dead in a dumpster. She'd been hit over the head, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, so the story went about how we're neglecting people there. And the one thing that they said in this article that was just that hit me so hard, and it was so profound, was we don't consider addicts victims until they're dead.
True.
And I was like, that is absolutely true. Because if we did, we would offer them more support and more opportunities. But we don't.
I think
they don't.
There's a huge stigma there too, in that if you're an addict, most people put you in like
you're a problem.
Yeah, you're a problem. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, you're not.
You're a burden.
Yeah, it's like you become less than human to some extent, and that's not right. Same for all.
You're a leech. And there were statistics about this, and this was stunning, that it usually takes 4 treatment centers and at least 8 years for someone to kick something as heavy as heroin or those equivalents or its derivatives. 4 treatments in 8 years at least.
Those treatments are not cheap.
No, and they're not available for everybody.
Yep.
They're for wealthy people.
Yep.
Who can afford it.
Yep.
Anyhow.
That's why you always hear about celebrities going to various clinics, but you rarely hear about somebody that's an alcoholic going to one. Or, a drug user. I mean, part of it is just a lot of times they'll just keep using, like I said, I've lost a niece and a nephew to, overdose of, fentanyl and, whatever it was, heroin or something. I don't remember, but, it's sad, it rips people apart and, and it was before. And it's like, I don't think either of them really wanted, that wasn't the life they wanted to live. They were just, trying to find something to kill the pain.
Yep. Yeah. All right, now I'm done.
I'll go next, actually. I'll switch it up a little bit. So in the last week, I have officially turned 40. So as of the 11th. So yay me! I'm 40 now. I'm old. Mid-year or midlife, I should say.
Welcome to the club.
Right?
Over the hill gang.
Y'all old.
Y'all's old.
Y'all's old.
Yep. Cool hip youths like me find you use people old.
The good news, I still get carded, so I'm going to hang on to that and hopefully ride that out into the sunset.
Ooh,
so,
I'm going to
as long as I can
pull out like a Facebook joke here and be like, "Is it an AARP card?" Anyway, moving on. Yeah. Whatever. Senior discount, yeah,
baby. Give me that 10% discount anytime. I'll take it.
There's an episode of Married with Children where Al gets a senior discount card, or he goes around town getting everything he can with discounts. Like he's got like this green shirt and these real, his pants are pulled way up to his armpits, and it's great.
Nice. So on Saturday, I had a big birthday party because my husband is also going to be 40 this year in August, toward the end of August. So we just had a combined birthday party last weekend, which was so much fun. Had a great time, had lots of people over, and it was very interesting. And I apologize. My memory has not been the best lately, so I haven't talked about the party yet, have I? On the last podcast?
That's a good question. I don't remember.
Well, regardless, we're talking about it again.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, if you get to a point where I remember, I'll tell you, but good luck with that. Hence the old part, memories going. But the party was great. Had a bit of a social hangover the next day, but was able to kind of manage through that. Good news is when I got to work, lots of people missed me, which was awesome.
But then that was the 14th, 15th, and then, I guess my sister talked about it because we recorded since then. But this last week was very work-focused. Lots of stuff having to do with work. I got hit by a forklift.
Oh my!
A little burying the lead there. So I'm okay. Physically, it was very, very scary. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I imagine.
Forklift took my feet from out from underneath me. He didn't see me. He swung the forks around. Swiped me off my feet. Ended up on the ground. He did not see me because I was on the ground. Kept coming at me.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Yeah. So I
take that.
Yeah.
So I got on his forks basically because I rolled onto his forks and then I was able to roll off of them to get off to the side so that A, I didn't get impaled, thank God, and B, I got off to the side so that he could see me and he stopped. So thankfully just bruises and just very scary as I'll get out. So he was very shaken too. I mean, it wasn't just me. You know, he was very upset by the whole situation. So we had our moment, and I got myself together and stuff. But it was just another reminder that life is very, very, very unexpected. You never know what's going to happen. So really focus on enjoying what you have when you have it. Because this was thankfully, nothing bad happened other than a few bruises. Could have been very easily much, much worse.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I'm very thankful. Yeah. Very, very thankful that it was what it was.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so that was that was my excitement for the week was all that. But yeah, it definitely kind of just woke me up to a lot of different things. One, I need to learn how to yell.
Oh, did you just go?
Probably.
Yes.
Down.
On the show before.
And down.
Yep.
I eat. I don't scream.
Yeah.
I need to learn how to scream. But also,
give you an air horn,
right?
It's been talked about getting me an air horn and flashing lights on my vest, but yeah, it was really kind of one of those eye-awakening moments that I'm like, okay, note to self, really, really enjoy life. So. I've been really focusing on just enjoying my time with my loved ones and appreciating them and trying not to be judgmental and all that good jazz. And the other thing that I've been really focused on is I've become a Twitterholic. I have a couple accounts and I'm really loving meeting and talking to a bunch of random new people because I love talking people, so feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. My Twitter handle will give all that information at the end of the show, but it is also Jen's Crazy Life, so Jen with a G. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, I am getting more active with that account. So I'm just enjoying people, enjoying life, and enjoying people.
Good.
So, yeah, that's been kind of going on with me. So how about you, Brian?
You know, it's funny. We've talked on the show before about patience. And my patience has been pushed really far this week. And it's something I could have ended at any time, but I didn't. I just continued to wallow in the suffering. No, there was a Funko Pop that I wanted. And GameStop's site was just a nightmare on the day it was released. And because they had a bunch of different ones available. So it's not just everybody going for one. It's like everybody's going for different things, you know? And, it was just a nightmare. And every time I'd have it in my cart, I'd put all my information in, I'd click, place order, it would crash and I'd have to start all over again. And this went on over and over and over. And I was just, and it stinks because it's like the ones that were released for San Diego Con, this was like, I had a short list of like 4 or 5 that I was really hoping to get. And this one was number 2 on my list. It's not like, if it was towards the bottom, I'd be like I didn't get a Pepe Le Pew that I kind of wanted, whatever. I'm not losing sleep over it. But this one was Red Hood and I really wanted it. But it's also the most popular one. It's what everybody pretty much wanted. Anyway, so I go through that. I keep going through this over and over and over again. Like I get all the way to the end, boots me all the way back to the beginning, and next thing you know, they're sold out. And I kept calling customer service the next day because that night I got an email from PayPal that said, hey, you've paid this much money to GameStop. So so I'm like, okay, well, maybe my order went through. Maybe I just haven't gotten the email yet from them. And then I saw a guy post on Reddit that it had been a while and he still had not gotten a confirmation notice. So I checked mine, and sure enough, I didn't get one either. And after three calls in a long time, I got through to GameStop, only to be told basically that I was just out of luck. And because it's a limited item and, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but the problem is I was in line, I went all the way through, I had screenshots. Right. Like, I can show you, they have the time on them. And I'm like, people go into the site at the last minute, somebody could just luck into, getting them, whereas I've been sitting there since the beginning. And, right. It's like, and I told them, I was like, I'm disappointed I didn't get it, but I'm mad that I feel like I got cheated out of it, or skipped over. It's like, I waited in line like a good boy, and someone behind me got cuts. And, little boy Brian came out and I was saying some various words that we won't say on this program, but if you want to hear them, you can listen to Salty Language. And then to top it off, the same day, I called to reserve one because my brother told me, call the Bowling Green store. He's like, if they have one, I'll run you down there. I'm like, cool. I call and guy on the phone's like, yep. And I was like, sweet. So we get down there only for me to realize that I had actually reserved it in Adrian, Michigan, which is totally the opposite way.
Oh, yeah, you're about in the middle between the two.
Yeah. And the fact that it was like 8 or just after 8, there was no way we were going to, we'd make it up there.
Right.
So, even then, I didn't really want to ask my brother to drive me all the way up there from Bowling Green, but whatever. So, I call and I told the guy, to cancel it and stuff. So, chance number 2, just right through my hands. Had I realized I had called Adrian, my brother was like, I would have taken you to Adrian. It's not that much farther, And I was like, of course, because, yeah. So, but I know I wasn't the only person. A lot of people had posted stuff. I got DM'd by GameStop, and they were asking me more information, so I don't know where that'll go. I haven't heard from them it's been like 2 days, but today's Monday, so, give them a couple business days. So they probably don't have people working on that stuff on the weekend, but whatever. So, today, there was another site called Entertainment Earth. When they put up their con exclusives, their site just got bombarded with people, so they immediately were like, this is no bueno, shut the site down, fixed it, put it back up, and from what I read, it seems like it ran pretty smoothly. Like, there's still some hiccups, but for the most part, it was okay. Then today, Funimation was supposed to have a Dragon Ball Z pop available, and it was supposed to go up at like 11 o'clock Eastern time. People were like trying to get on the site, like to log in ahead of time so that if you get one in your cart, you can get through faster. And so people were, they were on the site, and I go to sign on and I keep getting an error, like a sign on error. And I'm like, what? And then I saw someone posted on Reddit that the site had been crashed since 10 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh boy, cause it's hard. When you have that kind of traffic, it's hard to get in front of it unless you shut it all down. That's the best way you can handle it from what I've seen is you shut it down. I've been on various sites before when they shut the whole thing down and then reopen it later. Usually they can kind of figure out what the crash was and work around it. And they didn't do that at first, but then they just kept telling people to refresh. And I'm like, I don't think that's that's not working for everyone. And at one point I'm like, I've been sitting here, and now I was doing other stuff too, but I was sitting here for 2 hours trying to get this thing. And I'm like, I spent over 2 hours trying to get the GameStop one, only to not get one, And I'm like, man, if I don't get one of these, I'm gonna be angry, Like, I'm putting all this time into trying to get one of these dang things. Anyway, so at one point they were like, hey, we're taking the store offline for a little bit. We'll have it back up, but we're trying to figure out what's going on. They couldn't figure out what exactly was crashing it, aside from the enormous amount of traffic. Like, there was some bug in there that even once it was letting people into the site, for some reason when they'd go to click next, it would give them a 504 or kick them, to an error page.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So I stayed, again, kept watching it and stuff. They put the store back on. Wait and wait, just keep trying and trying. I don't know how many times I had the thing on there, but you couldn't add it. I couldn't add it to my cart. One time I added it to my cart, and then it crashed when I clicked the next button. So again, had a thing in my cart, was on my way to paying for it. No good. So after a while, they finally are like, look, we got to take the site down. It's just not working. But by the time they took it down, they're 2/3 through their stock. I sat there for over 4 hours for this thing. Somebody could have walked it, shown up at 2:30, just been like, la-di-da, strolled right in. Maybe they just get that luck and they go right to the site and everything works fine. There were people on Reddit yeah, I had no trouble with it. I'm like, been sitting here for 4 hours. Now, the worst part is they're going to put the stuff back up. It's going to get choked because everybody who didn't get one's going to go after it. And you're going to have, I know it makes me sound like a whiny baby, but it's I feel like I should get priority. I feel like people like me, they should have had a way of logging that and giving us priority on it. Because, like I said, there's going to be people that are going to just show up whenever and they'll get one. And we've been standing there sitting here, whatever, all that time, dealing with the frustration of the site won't load, all this. Somebody else can walk in, clean as a whistle, and right out the door, basically. And it's I kind of feel like, again, I know it sounds like a whiny thing, but it's I kind of feel like we should get something for that. Your site sucks. That's not my fault. Now, granted, I could have at any time, as I said earlier, I could have walked away, saved myself all this. But I'm just sitting here finally when they took it down, and I'm just I've put over 6 hours into sitting for trying to get 2 pops and got 0. So, I got one of the 3 I was trying to get, because the GameStop I went to had another one that I was looking for, so I picked that up while I was there. But on the websites, I've over. So, oh no, I'm sorry, I take that back. The same night with GameStop where I was having all that issue, Target had a WWE exclusive wrestler named Asuka, and yeah, I got that one lickety split, bang boom, I was right out of there. Hot Topic had Ron Swanson with cornrows, boom, out the door, no problem. But GameStop, whole nother thing. I don't know. It's beyond frustrating though, because I know, again, I'm not the only one, but it just sucks that in the same, essentially this, within a few days of each other, going through this again and again. And there's another one coming up called Toy Tokyo, and the exclusives they're putting up it's going to be the same thing. I'll bet it's the same thing. So they're going to have to do something different. But anyway, all of this aside, the whole time, like in the past, I probably would have almost thrown my computer at the wall. Not literally, but I would have been cussing up a storm and just been really mad. And I did a little bit with the GameStop one, but like today, I'm just sitting there and just refreshing it. And I'm just, after a while, I was just, I honestly feel like I was too defeated to be mad. Like I was almost just like, oh, whatever. Okay. If it pops up, cool. Oh man. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'll have an update next week on whether or not I'm able to get these. Oh, one last thing about the GameStop ones. By the time I got off the phone with their customer service, the stores around here were all out except that Adrian store. Now I'd have to go 50 miles out to get one. So yeah, looks like probably gonna have to eBay one. Yep. But aside from that, it's I woke up today thinking that I had an MRI, and I had just a horrible migraine, and I'm like, there is no way I'm going to be able to sit or be in that machine with a migraine, because it's loud. So, I call the hospital, and the woman's like, we don't have you down for today. And I'm like, you should. Oh. And she's like, we have a Brian Stewart tomorrow. And then she says the time, and I'm like, wow. I'm like, yep. I was like, that's right. I'm like, I'm an idiot. Totally called the wrong day. or thought it was the wrong day. Yeah, I was, yeah, it's been a week, but it's not been a bad week aside from that stuff, you know, and even that's really, like you were saying, I know, it's like if that's the worst your week is it's been a pretty good week, you know, like you gotta take a step back from that one and go, yeah, it's been an alright week, you know, so, yeah, I think that's about it. I talked forever anyway, so.
Well, you know, that's awesome that you're able to prioritize it and put focus behind it. You know, it's you're able to see the frustration and stuff, but able to work through it. You know, and that's important. Mm-hmm. So often we find ourselves in situations where it's super frustrating, and it's just not. We're not able to see past it. Yeah. So that's the good thing. You know, you're able to work through it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's, like I said, I know in the past it would have been a lot harder for me to do that, but I fully recognize that, you know, whether it's the medicine or technique, whatever it is, something's working, you know, and
absolutely.
And I will say, like, I can feel myself, like my blood pressure was up, but that was because I was a dum-dum, and because I had my days off, I took my last blood pressure pill yesterday morning, and I take one morning and night. So I didn't have one last night, didn't have one when I got up today, so across the rest of the day yesterday, I was kind of out of it, almost. It's weird, well, you've seen it, Jen. I just really, like, daydream. It's almost like I'm walking around daydreaming. You know, it's so weird. And I feel really odd inside. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not shaky, but it kind of is. It's not nauseous, but I don't feel well, you know, it's so odd. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, so I'm sure that didn't help my cause any. But I thought I was going to get up today, go get my medicine, go have the MRI, you know, and be good. And then I was like, oh wait, my MRI is tomorrow. Which, you know what's going to happen? Tomorrow at that time is when this stuff's going to go back up. You watch. I'm calling it now.
Of course.
Just because of how my week is gone. And I'm not doing the, you know, the distorted thinking of just because one bad thing happens, all the bad things. But it's just kind of the way the week is gone, you know? Like, when I was with my brother, too, later, I was going to call my mom to see if she wanted us to bring her any food. And I called a number, and this woman answers, and I'm like, this isn't my mom. And she's like, hello? And I was like, hello? And I was like, I'm pretty sure I dialed the wrong number. And she's like, okay, have a nice night, you know. And I'm like, sorry for bothering you, because it was like 9:45, you know. And she sounded like the type that might have been in bed. But, and I'm told my brother what I did, and we're just laughing. And I'm like, well, of course. You know, it's one of those times where now I'll just look at that and just laugh at the whole mess of it. You know, it was just a comedy of errors.
Well, it's always fun.
Yeah. Well, we've actually almost talked for an hour here.
That was a lot of stuff to go through.
It was. I didn't realize we had so much stuff.
Well, do we want to hold the conversation till to next week? Or do we want to continue? It's up to you guys.
Doesn't matter to me.
The Crazy Life update episode.
Yeah.
We have them every once in a while.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
It's the group therapy episode.
Yeah, it really is.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. We good?
Yeah, if you want to. I really probably should cut all of this out. It's just us chit-chatting, but yeah.
Hey, why not?
Little look behind the curtains.
There you have it.
Let's look behind the curtains, folks. Yes, we're just getting caught up on everything and getting you caught up on our lives and what's going on with us. So, if you want to continue the conversation with us, you want to catch us up on what's going on with you, we'd love to hear what's going on with you. Please let us know. Mm-hmm. You know how to reach us. You can reach us on Twitter. You can reach me, Jen's Crazy Life. That's Jen with a G. You can also reach us at our webpage, which is thecrazylifepodcast.weebly.com. You can also reach us at our email address at thecrazylifepodcast@outlook.com. And how about you, Henno? If they want to talk with you, how can they reach you?
Find me on Twitter at Ida Henno, or you can find me on Facebook at Henno Heiter.
Nice. And you, Brian, how can they reach you?
You can also find the show on Twitter at The Crazy Life Pod, where I post when new episodes go up. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/Crazy Life Podcast. Go join our group. Nobody's joining our group. We're lonely.
I'm throwing a lip, everybody. You can't see it, but it's out there.
We're all doing puppy dog eyes and big bottom lips.
Come join us. We want to talk with you.
Wow, I forgot where I was at already. My brain is still not back to full strength here. Not that it usually is at this point of the show. We're part of the Tangibound Network, which can be found at tangiboundnetwork.com. I skipped over where you can find me, which is at Studami on Twitter. You can find my other podcast at salty_language or at saltylanguage.com. That show is not safe for work. So, you know, if you're going to let your kids listen to it, at least crack a beer first.
Absolutely.
The Crazy Life does not endorse giving children beer or listening to salty language. Oh, man. All right. If you'd like to help the show out, we'd really appreciate it if you would, if you use an Apple Podcast, to rate, review, and subscribe if you haven't already, because we don't have very many reviews either. Come on. Help
Want
us
to
out.
hear from you,
Come
folks.
on, do it.
How many times do we got to tell ya?
Do it. Yeah. If you're using Stitcher or Spotify to listen to us, please use the like and share options to maybe help us get some more listeners. Or share our post on Facebook or Twitter with your friends, or just tell somebody that you know about the show to maybe help us out a little bit. That's all we ask of you. We don't ask much. And, we... Gosh, I'm a mess, man. Alright, so if you are feeling as though you may harm yourself or others, please reach out to somebody. If you find yourself in the planning stages of it, definitely reach out before something catastrophic happens. We had another situation, last night in Toronto that happened, and, the first thing people jumped on was mental health, and we'll see, maybe it did have something to do with it, we don't know, but it's still, let's try to eliminate as many of those and suicides as we can here. So if you see that, please reach out. There are tons of people out there willing to help you. Even if money's an issue, there's help. It may take a while, may be frustrating, but there's help and programs out there. And I forgot what I was going to say next. Wow, I am blanking like crazy tonight. And the flip side of this is, reach out to people that you know, especially if they've gone through a recent, like breakup or loss, losing their job or just some sort of hardship. But also make sure you check in on the friends that are always telling you they're fine. Because, I'm fine is a big mask or a shield, however you want to look at it, a wall, take your pick. And, a lot of times there's more there. Sometimes people have the attitude of, oh, they don't care, so ask, reach out to people and whatnot. I mean, if they're mean and whatever back to you, then yeah, at some point, whatever, but it's just, but at least try. And, again, worst case scenario, you're probably going to make somebody's day, but you never know when it could do something more like save a life or, just change somebody's, thought pattern for the day.
Absolutely. It's so important that we talk to each other, we connect with each other. Social media, in person, it doesn't matter. Just check up on each other and continue the conversation. Just keep the conversation going. It's so important. So, with that, everyone, have a great week. Smile when you can, and wiggle your toes.